The Heath Hawks football team lost their first game of the season last Friday night to McKinney in a heartbreaker 34-31. McKinney scored with less than a minute remaining in the game. This week, we're visiting with Coach Mickey Moss of the Hawks as he talks about last week's loss and this week's game against McKinney North. That was a tough loss last week, wasn't it, up in McKinney?
It was. I was proud of the way the kids fought back, but it was some lessons learned. The mistakes that we made, points that we gave away, penalties that we committed in critical times, roughing the punter. We had a personal foul that took us out of field position as far as ability to come away with points. We ended up having a punt. So there were just a lot of things that added up, and even then we drove down. We scored with 2 minutes left to go ahead for the first time, and I can't remember when we had last had the lead, but that was the first time we had a lead since I think first quarter. And it just then it was disappointing that they were able to drive down and score, but there's so many different plays that could have made a difference in that ball game, and it just happened to come down to the end.
Well, you only lost by 3 points, and you didn't even have your starting quarterback. How's Ross doing?
He's doing well. He's had a good week of practice.
Was he injured? Is that what took place?
He needed a break.
Okay. All right.
He needed a break, and we were out without a couple of our starters that needed breaks.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that.
All right, that's fine. Well, it was a great game. You only lost. It's only one loss, though. You've still got 4 victories.
Right.
Now you go back up to McKinney North this week. What do you expect? What are the keys to victory up there?
It's still, district loss weighs a little bit heavier. That we know we've got to win one game at a time, but all of them are very important. The particular way the district race is shaping up. And McKinney North is a good ball team. It's another team that I think they're sitting there maybe 3-3 or 3-2, but they're a good ball team and they're very explosive. They have an explosive quarterback that's thrown almost 600 yards and rushed for almost 500 yards. A good running back that's run for another running back's run for almost 500 yards. So they're very explosive and productive offensively, and they put a lot of points on the board. Defensively, they've got a defensive tackle as good as anybody in our district. Very physical player, number 15. He's 6'1", 270. He's quick. He's explosive.
Wow.
And they've got a defensive end that really does a great job pass rushing the quarterback. So, I mean, we can't go up there and make the same mistakes we made last week, or the results will be the same. We've got to execute. We've got to force turnovers, and we can't give up points like we did last week.
Will Ross Hudson be back at quarterback this week?
Yes.
Okay.
Ross will be back.
Although I forget his name, but the young man who took his place did a great job.
Well, we had 2. We had Cody Courts, a junior, and Hunter Hopkins, a sophomore, and one of them, they played like inexperienced quarterbacks at times where they both had mistakes, but at the same time they really stepped up and showed fight and grit about them, and the way they were able to step into a big ball game and compete and make some big plays for us.
Well, that's tomorrow night at McKinney North at 7:30, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, just looking a little bit into the future, you've got Rockwall coming up next week. Is that right?
We got a stretch of games here. We started with McKinney North, and then we hit Rockwall and Wiley and Highland Park. I mean, so we've got a stretch of games coming up that it's each week, and I didn't expect it any difference. I know every game is going to go down to the wire. It's just the way our district is this year.
Do you think the guys get up a little bit more for Rockwall than they do the other teams?
Maybe because it's just such an unknown in McKinney schools that they had an unknown about them. I think like Rockwall is a lot more familiar with McKinney than what we were because of their history. But say get up. I mean, both teams do. I mean,
sure.
I think that's the same on both sides, that they both get up for a game like that. But that game does not matter if we go out and we lose and not do the things we need to, and then we start off 0-2. The most important thing for us right now is to get another district win and get us back to 2-1. And I mean, we've got to do a lot of things here because you're sitting here. Wiley beat McKinney, but then Rockwall beat Wiley, and there's just it's going to be a logjam, and we've got to make sure we take care of business, and we can't let a game like McKinney North slip up on us because it's very critical. It's the most important game of the year for us.
Well, we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
This is J.J. Smith reporting for the RockwallNews.com.